Hello, it is officially Hunger Games Day, and by that I mean today is the day that Sunrise on the Reaping comes out. I still have not received my copy. Barnes Noble, I'm looking at you, but I'm still so excited. So to celebrate the occasion, I decided that I would do a reread of the whole series. Let me grab them. They're not in order. First, I'm going to be reading the original trilogy, which I have not read since I was in 8th grade, which makes me about 12. So it's been like 14 years since I read these books. And then I'm going to pick up, oh no, books are falling. And then I'm going to pick up The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, which came out a while ago, but I never picked up because I wasn't that interested in it. But after all the hype, I've decided that I'm going to succumb to the pressure. And then after this, I'm going to be reading the new book, which is so exciting. I'm just really excited to get back into these books and feel like a middle schooler again. Well, I don't know that I want to feel like a middle schooler again, because I feel like middle school is just like an awful experience for everyone. But I'm excited to feel the childhood nostalgia is what I really need. So, come along with me as I reread the Hunger Games books and just have a great, amazing time. And I think that's a totally reasonable expectation. I'm going to be starting, obviously, with the one, the only, The Hunger Games. I will be sharing spoilers for the first 3 books just because it's been so long. Like, if you haven't read The Hunger Games by now, you're probably never going to. You've probably already seen the movies. You probably know what happens in The Hunger Games just because it's The Hunger Games and it's such a big phenomenon. So, I don't know how much I'm going to be updating you on the original 3, but I'll certainly give you my thoughts at the end of them. And that's it! Let's get reading! Okay, so this is much, much sooner than I would normally update, but I am 1 chapter into The Hunger Games, and I already have some thoughts. So first of all, I want to say that I was expecting the first line to be like this gut punch where it's like going to be so well written and so like, oh my god, it's going to take me back to the Hunger Games immediately. And the first line is just, when I wake up, the other side of the bed is cold. Which like, it's not a terrible first line, but it's just so funny because I was expecting like this iconic first line that I would remember as soon as I read it, and no. But I do want to say that so far the writing is so much better than most YA books. Like, maybe that's a mean thing to say, but I've really grown out of YA, and in part that is because of the writing. But the writing so far is very good. It's like simple but good. And another thing is that I forgot about, I don't know how to say it, Terrason? Let me look. I don't know. I'm just not gonna say the word. I forgot that there's like this whole system with the Hunger Games where your name isn't only entered once. Well, first of all, it's entered once for every year that you're alive after your 12th year, but also that you can add it in more times to get like another year's supply of food. Of not food, but it's like grain and oil or something. And damn, I forgot all about that. And there's a part in the book where like she's talking about how like Gale's thoughts on that, and he says that it's just another way for the capital to divide them. And shit, like, okay, I knew the Hunger Games is political, you know, but I haven't read this since I was 12, and I'm a Marxist now. I just have a feeling I'm gonna love this book even more for its like critiques of capitalism. I mean, it's literally named like the capital. I mean, okay, it's named that for a different reason, but still, there's like a little bit there. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say other than like, it's hitting hard already. Like at the end of the first chapter is when Prim's name is called, and it's crazy because Prim's name is called, but Katniss says that her name is in there like some 21 times already, and it's Prim's first ever reaping or whatever it's called. I think it's called reaping. I'm losing all the terms. But it's Prim's first time being eligible, and she's already called, and her name was only in there once, and Katniss's name was in there like 21 times. And she already did like a really good job of establishing how much she loves Prim, and how Prim's like the only person in the world she really cares about. And it's just hard hitting already. I'm just so excited to keep reading this, and I just wanted to update you to blabber on about it, because nothing I really said here was of importance, but that's how this video is gonna be. So, sorry about that, but I'm gonna keep reading. Okay. Okay. I'm on page 234 of The Hunger Games. Rue just got stabbed with a spear in the stomach. I knew it was gonna happen, like, as soon as, like, they teamed up, but I didn't realize how quickly it was gonna happen, and I'm in pain. It is so sad. So I figured I'd read, like, the death scene and see if I cry. So let's do that. Okay. Okay, I'm already crying a little bit. She just asked her to sing. Oh god. Oh god. I know I must be making the worst face right now. I can't stop looking at Rue, smaller than ever, a baby animal curled up in the nest of netting. I can't do this. It's so sad. I mean, okay. What else is there to say? I've read so much today. I've been in kind of a reading slump just in my life recently, but I've read almost like 250 pages of this book so far, which tells you that it's really good. I'm loving it, honestly. It's there's so many like small details that I've forgotten about, especially like the one that comes to mind is I forget what they call them, the people whose like tongues they take out. It's called like an Avox or something. I completely forgot that Katniss had seen one of those. Like she recognized one of those people in the Capitol, and then she tells a story of how she saw this girl from the Capitol trying to escape in the woods of District 12, and how she was captured. And Katniss wasn't able to save her. She just kind of watched as she was taken, and how she regrets it, and how she should have tried to save her life. And it's interesting reading that now, having like read the whole trilogy and know what happens, because obviously that girl is trying to escape to District 13. So it's just like, I mean, obviously Susan Collins had the idea for this entire trilogy when she wrote the first book, but it's just interesting to see like those seeds be planted. Even just her talking about District 13 like in the beginning, it's just so interesting. And yeah, I'm really enjoying my time. I don't know if I'm enjoying my time because that was just really hard to read, to be honest. But yeah, the other thing I have to say is that the blurbs on the back are from Stephen King, Stephanie Meyer, and John Green. And if those aren't like the epitome of 2008, I don't know what else is. But I'm gonna get back to reading, and I'm probably gonna cry. And honestly, like I think I might finish this today, so maybe you'll be hearing back from me soon. It's so dark, and that's because it's nighttime, because I've spent all day reading The Hunger Games, and I have finally finished it. Not finally, because it's not like, oh no, I was dying to get rid of this book, but I just blew through this, honestly. I read this all in a single day, and I'm just like, oh god. Like, is this the best dystopian book ever? Probably. And I mean that. Like, I think this is better than 1984. That is my controversial opinion, but I think this is a much better book. I love like everything about this. I love the critiques of like the class system. I love the critiques of capitalism. I love everything about this. Like the fact, oh my god, I can't even talk about it. One thing I do want to say really quick is that when I originally read The Hunger Games as a young child, I was 100% on Team Gale, which is kind of crazy when you're reading this because she makes it very clear there's nothing romantic happening between her and Gale at all in this book. Like, it's only towards the end when she starts to think about, like, what Gale will think of her, like, kissing Peeta and stuff like that during the Hunger Games. And, like, she thinks about how he mentioned they could run away together and, like, whether that was a romantic thing for him to say. But I will say my anti Peeta bias was kind of showing at the end of this book here. Like, don't get me wrong, Peeta's a great character. He's a sweetheart. He's amazing. But at the end of this book, after they both win the Hunger Games by cheating the system, and obviously they were pretending to be in love like the whole time. Well, weren't necessarily pretending. Peeta certainly was not pretending. Katniss kind of was, kind of wasn't. And when Peeta finds out after they're both like safe and returned to the capital that she was partially or at least kind of pretending for the cameras, he's all butthurt and he's like mad at her. And not like in the sense that he's yelling at her, but he just doesn't talk to her for a few days and is very distant. And I just think that is such bullshit. Like, I get it. I get it would be upsetting that like he thinks they're in love and stuff and then like he thinks it could have just been an act. But I'm sorry, you were just in the Hunger Games. You were just in a battle to the death situation and you're gonna be mad at this girl because she might have kissed you for the camera a couple times. Like, grow up. She saved your life. She's the reason you're alive today is such bullshit. And for that reason, I understand why I thought he was like a whiny little bitch when I first read this. Because that honestly still sticks with me. And honestly, like, I love how Gale, straight from the beginning, is very outspoken in his hate of the Capitol and his hate of, like, the class system. And I think, like, in my baby Marxist heart, I had, like, a real soft spot for that. So it'll be interesting to see what I think of, like, the love triangle as the series progresses. But I just really think this is such, like, a masterful book. Like, she writes so well. It's not, like, beautiful, amazing writing, but you really get a clear sense of who the characters are, especially Katniss. She's such a strong character. And not in the sense of like, oh, she knows how to fight, but in the sense of like, she's so strong-willed, she's so stubborn, and she just has like a strong sense of self, and it really comes through in the book. Like, I feel like if I were to read fan fiction of the Hunger Games and someone didn't like adequately capture her character, it would be like grossly obvious and it would ruin the whole thing for me. It's also just like honestly so sweet reading this because part of the reason why, like, she tells Peeta towards the end that she's just confused, like she doesn't know what to do, and that's when he gets mad at her for not like immediately loving him and wanting to be with him. But it's also just sweet because she talks about how like it's probably for the best because she's never going to get married and she's never have any kids because she can't bear the idea for kids having to fight in the Hunger Games or like having to be with her kids on Reaping Day. And it's just so sweet to think of the end of the series where like she's happy with Peeta and has children running around and they're just playing in the sun and everything is great and peaceful. It's so sweet. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I really don't know what rating to give it though because it kind of doesn't feel like a 5. And I feel like I should give it a 5 because I don't have any complaints whatsoever. Like I think this is a great book. But I don't have that 5-star feeling, but I feel like that may just because this is a reread and like everything wasn't like fresh, like I knew everything that was gonna happen, so maybe that's why it didn't hit as hard. So I guess like now that I'm talking about it, I am gonna give it a 5. It's just so classic. It's such a classic book. Like this is 100% a modern classic. It's incredible. If I ever have kids, I'm making them read this as soon as they're able to read. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to Catching Fire. So I'm kind of nervous about Catching Fire because I don't know why. I think I'm worried it's gonna have like the sophomore slump, which from watching the most recent thing I've done with the Hunger Games universe is like I watched the movies like a couple years ago, and I remember that the second movie was certainly still really good. So I'm assuming that the book's also gonna be really good. But I'm just nervous because it's been such a long time. Like I knew going into it that the Hunger Games, like the first book, was gonna be like peak perfection. I just knew that. But now I'm worried that like the other books might let me down a little bit. So we're gonna read it and we're gonna see. I'm probably not gonna check back in tonight just because it's late, the lighting sucks, and I want to wash my makeup off. But I will certainly check in with you tomorrow because I feel like it's only 7:30 right now. I feel like I'm gonna get a good way through Catching Fire before I go to sleep. And I'm so excited. Sunrise on the Reaping was supposed to come today. It did not come. So once that comes, I'll do a little unboxing for you. But that's all for now, and I'll see you soon. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm on page 62 of Catching Fire, so let's talk about it. So far what's happened is basically like Katniss is back in District 12 in like a Victor's villa, the huge mansion. She has a ton of money. She's still hunting, but she only hunts for Gale's family now because they won't accept money from her. And at the beginning of the book, President Snow came and he threatened Katniss, essentially saying that he knew that her like love for Peeta was, I can't think of the word. Essentially saying that her love for Peeta was like fake. He knows that, and he thinks that she's in love with Gale because her and Gale kissed apparently. And he's threatening Gale's life and basically saying that there's been uprisings in the districts and it's her fault and that she needs to really show that she's in love with Peeta so that everyone thinks she only like bamboozled the games out of love and not like out of rebellion. But she's in an awkward spot with Peeta, obviously, where they ended, where she was like, I'm not actually in love with you, and he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because he was like a little bitch about it. But right now where I'm at, they're doing like the victory tour or whatever, so they're going to each district and saying a couple words and getting a couple awards, I guess. And she just went to District 11, which is the first on the tour, and it's also the district where Rue was from. And she gave some special words to Rue's family, and then this old man in the crowd did the song that Rue did to the Mockingjays. And everything was great, and then she realized she left her flowers, so like she turned back to go back into the building where the presentation was taking place, and she sees that old man being shot in the head. And that is such a harsh scene. It is like a gut punch to read, and I knew it was coming, and it didn't like change that for me. What else do I have to say? I do have to say that PETA did apologize. He apologized for like trying to hold her to what was happening in the games. Obviously, he's still hurt about it, but I have to admit that it does raise his image to me a bit, because man, was that like a whiny ass thing to say. It's also a quarter quell year, which means that every like 25 years they do like a unique spin on the games, and so like I know what's gonna happen here, obviously. But I actually didn't realize that Haymitch's year was a quarter quell, so it makes me even more interested to read his book to find out like what the twist was that year, and just to see his story. It still has not come in the mail yet. It's driving me fucking insane. It's not supposed to get here until Tuesday now. The book has already been out for like over a week at this point, so I'm just not very patiently waiting for that. But I still have a couple books to get through before I need to read that one, so I can't really complain. I have the whole day off today. Well, I have a work meeting at like 4, but other than that, I have the whole day off, and I'm very excited because it means I can just sit around and read all day, which is exactly what I need because I've been working nonstop for seemingly 70 years. So yeah, that's it for this update. I'm gonna get reading, and I'll update you soon with just more rambling, so that's all I'm doing. Okay, I'm on page 174 of Catching Fire. And so, look, I've only read 100 pages since I last saw you, so I don't need to be updating you this often. But I do want to say, I love Gale so much. I was not expecting that. I was expecting to reread these and be like, oh, I was a child then, you know, and to really like PETA this time around. And I do like PETA more than I initially did. I have to say that. But Gale still has my heart. I just got to the scene where Gale and Katniss are in the forest, and Katniss like asks Gale if he'll run away with her, like with their families and PETA and Haymitch as well. And at first she's all for it, but then she lets it slip that she's seeing these uprisings in the districts, because she caught a glimpse of the uprising in District 8 on the mayor's television. And as soon as she says that, Gale is like, hell no. He's like, I'm staying. We're gonna make an uprising here. There's gonna be a revolution. And that's why I love Gale so much. Like, he's a revolutionary. And I just have a soft spot for that in my heart. I will say PETA is growing on me, but he was ready to leave it all behind. Whereas Gale was like, yeah, we'll be safe, but what about all the other people that we're leaving behind that are gonna be tortured and killed because they're looking for us? Like, come on. I know what Gale does in Mockingjay, okay? I know. But I still think he's my favorite. I also think it's really interesting because way after that scene I just described, Katniss is in the forest once again, and she comes across these two people, I think they're from District 8, who have run away and are like living in the cabin in the forest, and they're trying to make their way to District 13. I think that's really interesting because they completely omitted that from the movies, I'm pretty sure, because I don't remember that. And I watched the movies fairly recently. And I think that's a really interesting detail because it just sparked Katniss's idea that District 13 may still be there. And I'm just thinking a lot about this because I know, like, basically where I'm at, the news literally just dropped that Katniss is going back into the games because of the quarter quell. And I know how that ends. Like, they end up going to District 13, and, like, Haymitch ends up, like, taking her there, like, being one of those people. But it's interesting because she's talking to him now, and he's like, there is no District 13, like, you're being stupid. So I'm just wondering, like, how much he actually knows about it, and if he already knows about it and is just keeping it from her to like keep her safe, or if he somehow like finds out down the line. I wonder if we're gonna get answers about that, because from what I remember, it's just like she's lifted out of the games and then Mockingjay she's in District 13. It's not really described like the entire plan to get her there. She did like meet with the game master this time around, and he showed her like a Mockingjay on his watch or some shit. So maybe that's how they explain it, but I am really interested in, like, Haymitch's part in the plan specifically, and I hope I learn more about it, and I'm having so much fun, because I watched the movies recently, and the movies are good, like, granted, but it's not the same as reading a book, and there's so many details in the books that the movies left out, and it's, like, really fun to find that information, so I'm having a great time. I'm gonna get back to reading. I just had my work meeting, and it was fine, so now I have the rest of the night off. It's only 6 o'clock, and I am ordering some ice cream and some booze, some hard seltzer. And I'm gonna get drunk, and I'm gonna keep reading Catching Fire, and it's gonna be a great night. So I will maybe see you when I'm drunk. Maybe. I make no promises. For some reason, I feel like you're not allowed to show yourself drinking on YouTube, so just trust that it's happening. Anyway, it's the next day. Didn't end up drinking last night, but I did end up getting much further in Catching Fire. And I just, I just, like a minute ago, finished Catching Fire, so let's talk about it. Severe, please stop. First of all, I was scared that this was going to have like a sophomore slump kind of thing. No, not even a little. So good. Like, it's just so good. I don't get it because most, maybe it's like going back and listening to the music that you used to listen to in high school, where like enough time has passed where you're like, oh, that probably isn't good anymore. But then you listen to it again and you're like, I had good taste even back then. And this is me telling you, I had good taste in books even as a middle schooler. And that probably doesn't hold for like any other book that I enjoyed at that time. Because we all know Divergent was a hot mess. But The Hunger Games was closest to my heart, and holy shit, it's just so good. Like, it makes me scared for the sequel books or the prequel books because I'm just so afraid they're not gonna be as good. But let's talk about this. First of all, I don't even know where to start. I really like how in this book she starts to talk with the peacekeepers more. Because in the first book, in District 12 at least, it kind of seemed like the peacekeepers were like friends of regular people. And I almost took issue with that because obviously they're like the police at the Hunger Games. And I do not have kind views of the police and their role in society. And especially for a book like this, it's like police are so instrumental in upholding capitalism and upholding the system of like private property. And I'm really liking how in Catching Fire, she started like showing the true nature of the police. She has, well, first of all, even like the old police, she talks about like the head peacekeeper that used to be in District 12. And she talks about how he used to like lure young girls into his bed by promising them food when they were starving. And so it already establishes right off the bat like these aren't the good guys. But then they get like a new head peacekeeper, and the first scene that you see him in, he's like whipping Gale to death. And it's just obvious that like they're terrible people and they get rid of all the good peacekeepers and all the bad ones are just flooding District 12. And I really like that critique of the police. The thing that drives me crazy about this is just like, I want to know more about this book. Like, I talked about this before, but I want to know like how much Haymitch knew about District 13. Because at the end of this book, if you need a bit of a recap, it turns out that as soon as the Quarter Quell was announced and like what it was, they all came up with this plan to like really start the rebellion and to save the people from the Hunger Games and transport them to District 13. And so at the end of this book, Katniss is transported out of their arena, and like the very last scene is her confronting Haymitch and being like, where's Peeta? And he has to tell her that they did not get to Peeta in time. But he tells her that, like, they had this plan since the Quarter Quell was announced, and that the gifts they were sending into their arena were ways of telling the other members, like, when the rescue was going to happen. So everyone else was in the know except for her and Peeta. But, like, I want to know about that. I want to know, like, did Haymitch have connections to District 13? Did he know about it, or was he just contacted by the head game master who turns out to be a rebel this whole time? I don't know. Like, I know I'm not gonna get the answers of that because, like, it described as much as it was going to in this book. I doubt Mockingjay gets into it. But it's just driving me crazy. Like, I want to know more about it because I'm so interested in Haymitch now that the prequel book with his story is coming out. And that's another thing, too. Before they went into the arena, Peeta and Katniss watched, like, Haymitch's Hunger Game. And so Catching Fire kind of summarizes his story. I think that's interesting because, like, why would she choose to write that into a book when we already have the story? But it will be interesting to see, like, how my perspective on that changes after I read the book, which still has not arrived. It's supposed to get here tomorrow. And just like the very last scene in this book isn't the one with Haymitch. I got that wrong. The very last scene is Katniss, like, she's totally depressed. She has to be, like, subdued. And the very last scene is her waking up and seeing Gale there, and Gale telling her that there is no longer any District 12. Oh, God, it's so good. It's so good. It's like she knows how to leave every chapter with a cliffhanger, but she also knows like the perfect way to end the book. I don't know, man. I'm just wigging out. Like I have Mockingjay up next. Obviously, I'm gonna read this immediately after I stop filming this, but I don't want to read it because I don't want this to be over. I'm having so much fun rereading these, and I know it's gonna like be such an emotional turmoil to read this book because this is where like the deaths start happening, and I really respect Suzanne Collins for killing off like lovable characters because I think like it's so necessary in something like a rebellion. Like not everyone is gonna live. It's like a Sarah J Maas book where like everyone lives and is happy and it's perfectly paired off together, and it's like that's not how it works. Like Suzanne Collins got the idea for this. Wasn't she like switching on the TV between channels of like Survivor and then the Iraq War? Like that's how she got the idea for this, something like that. And like this book is about the realities of war. Oh God. I don't know what to say anymore. So what I'm going to say now is that I'm going to get to reading Mockingjay immediately. I'm going to get to drinking. And I will be updating you once I have something to say, which I'm sure is going to be shortly. I'm so scared for the prequel books. I'm so scared for them. Because, like, how are you going to do anything that in any way, like, aligns with this, you know? We'll see. We'll see when we get there. Okay, I'm going to read now. Okay, I'm on page 84 of Mockingjay, and honestly, that one drink that I had made me super tired, and it's only 7 p.m., but I want to take a shower and go to bed. So this is going to be my last update for the night. Sorry that I'm not, like, overly drunk. Anyway, what are my thoughts so far? First of all, Gale's annoying me a little bit, which is affecting my love for him, because he's just, like, dick riding. Like, he's just, like, defending everything that District 13 does, and Coin is the leader of District 13. I just got at the point basically where, so Katniss has been in District 13, she saw the aftermath of the bombs in District 12, and she's just been like depressed and going crazy, and then she finds out that Pete is still alive because the Capitol broadcasts like an interview with him. And basically, District 13 has been trying to get her to, like, be the Mockingjay, like, the symbol of the revolution this whole time, but she's been refusing. But when she finds out that Pete is still alive, she agrees to be their Mockingjay in return for offering him immunity, which, for some reason, is, like, a really big deal for them, because he went on TV and he's calling for a ceasefire. It's like, what do you want him to do? Like, he's obviously, like, not doing that out of his own volition. Like, he's in the Capitol, they're probably torturing him. So it seems a little bit unfair for them to all be calling him a traitor, because what else is he supposed to do? And District 13 is really weird because everything is, like, really regimented and really, like, bureaucratic, kind of. Like, maybe that's not even the right word, but, like, they have a schedule every day. They have to sit and sign seats. They have to all wear the same clothes. They all get the same amount of food, like, stuff like that. So it's just weird as hell. And Katniss obviously is not okay with President Coin. I think she's president. I'm not sure what her title is in District 13. She's not okay with Coin. And Gale keeps defending her. And it's like, what are you doing, Gale? Like, I get it. I get that he's excited about the revolution and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that you have to suspend your critical thinking. So, I do, like, overall, obviously see why Katniss ends up with Peeta, and I think it makes sense, especially with what happens in this book, which by the way, I'm not at all prepared for. There's been so many scenes in this book so far between Prim and Katniss, and, like, she's just trying to make it hurt even more when it actually happens. And the scenes with Finnick, like, Finnick's not doing well right now, he's just so freaked out about Annie, and it's just like, oh, God. I think this book is going to make me cry, I really do, which isn't great, but I don't know, man. I'm also starting to like not read as much. Like I keep finding myself putting the book down. And I think it's because subconsciously I just don't want the trilogy to end. I am so scared about reading the other two newer books because I don't think they're gonna live up to this. And honestly, maybe I'm gonna be wrong because that's what I said about Catching Fire, and then I love that just as much. But I really think that the original trilogy is gonna be so much better than the other ones. So I'm like re-entering my middle school like fangirl era. Like I want to be posting edits of like Katniss on Instagram. Also another thing that's happening is that everyone has already like read the new book Sunrise on the Reaping somehow, and I'm logging onto Twitter, and I guess just because I've been talking about games so much and like texting about it, my phone's listening to me. And on my suggested page for Twitter, I keep getting all these tweets about the new book, and I think I've been spoiled for some things based off of those tweets. And now it's just like, I gotta read this as fast as I can at the same time because I need to get to the new book so I'm not like spoiled for anything major. So you can see the stress I'm under. But yeah, that's all for tonight. I'm gonna go shower now because I'm gross, which is TMI, but why did I say that? Okay. See you later. I got home from work today and I had a nice little surprise waiting for me, and I know what this is, so let's open it. Do I act surprised? Wow! Okay, here it is! Sunrise on the Reaping! I'm so excited! This is a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition as well, which I don't know anything about that. What that means. Does it have like pictures or something? No? Okay. Oh my god, I'm so excited, but I'm so scared to read this. Okay. It's here and it's beautiful. I was wondering what they would do on the spine, and I approve. Because for the Hunger Games books, all on the spines it's like arrows, and for Battle of Songbird and Snakes, it's like snakes, so this works. Okay, anyway, I just had to do that on camera. But, how many pages am I in? I am 192 pages into Mockingjay. I just got to the part where, first of all, Katniss has started being the Mockingjay and started filming, like, propaganda films. And they just did, like, a rescue mission to get Peeta and Annie. But Peeta has been tortured and hijacked. So now, every time he sees Katniss, he's, like, deathly afraid of her and tries to kill her. Which is just such... Suzanne Collins, your mind. Like, it's such a good idea for... It's just such a nice, like, spin on things, you know? Like, you're expecting this, like, happy, sweet reunion, and for Katniss to finally feel okay about something in her fucking life, and then he tries to strangle her, and he has to be, like, pried off. It's so good. It's so good. As I said before, Gale's starting to get on my nerves a little bit because he just, like, loves coin so much. Not the thing, the person. Also, like, before all that happened, Peeta warned them about, like, a bombing of District 13, and they all got underground safely. I'm starting to get why people prefer Peeta, okay? I get it. I think book 1 and 2, Gale all the way. Mockingjay, I'm getting the Peeta hype. Do you have something to say, Saphira? She's trying to join me. Saphira also loves the Hunger Games. I'm sorry for holding you like that. Okay, so... I have off tomorrow, which means I can stay up as late as I want to finish Mockingjay. So you may see me crying at some point tonight. Hi. My cat's just staring at me. It's just like, I've got a lot of thoughts, but I can't really talk about any of them because there's such a jumbled mess in my mind. I see you. Okay, my cat needs attention, so I'm gonna go. Okay. So, you may be guessing what part of Mockingjay I got to. I'll say I'm on page 348. And I was crying, and I ran up here to try to film so that you could see me crying. But then my camera had issues starting, and now the tears have dried up. And now I'm just angry instead. So, you probably already guessed, but I got to the point in Mockingjay where Prim is killed by the rebels. So essentially, Katniss and others are sent to the Capitol, but they're really only there to film like propaganda shots. Then something happens to the lead commander, and Katniss ends up taking over, and she's trying to lead them all to the president's building so that she can kill Snow. While they're there, while they're trying to do that, at some point they have to find like a safe haven with like a woman named Tigress, and then they all split up. And oh my god. First of all, Gale is captured by a peacekeeper, and he shouts to Katniss, "Shoot me." But Katniss doesn't realize what he said until she's like away from him. And so she's all upset that she didn't kill Gale, and she's thinking how Gale is gonna be tortured by the peacekeepers and by Snow. And then she's at the president's mansion, and it's like surrounded by a sea of Capitol refugees. And she realizes that he's using them as like human shields. And then small little silver parachutes start to come down from the sky. And everyone is used to seeing those in the games as like being presents and like good things. So little kids run to get them. And it turns out they're bombs sent by the rebels. So all these children are like killed and hurt. And then the rebel medics run in to try to save some of the children, even though they're on the opposite side of the war. And then they detonate an even larger bomb, killing their own medics and killing Prim in the process. And just like the way it's written hurts so bad. Like, first I get a glimpse of the blonde braid down her back. Then as she yanks off her coat to cover a wailing child, I notice the ducktail formed on her untucked shirt, which is calling back to like the day of the reaping. Oh my god, I'm crying now. What else? Then I am pushing through the crowd just as I did before, trying to shout her name above the roar. I'm almost there, almost the barricade, when I think she hears me. Because for a moment, she catches sight of me, her lips form my name, and that's when the rest of the parachutes go off. I can't believe I'm crying on camera. Oh my god. Holy shit. It's so sad. And like, it's like a perfect moment. I hate that I'm crying. Even though I wanted to catch it on camera, I hate that I'm doing it. It's like a perfect moment because, in a bad way, because Katniss, obviously, like, this whole thing started because Prim was like, her name was called during the reaping, and Katniss like sacrificed herself for Prim by volunteering. And now it's like the very end of the war, and the rebels have like gained the power, and then Prim dies. God. And she dies because she's so compassionate because she wants to be a medic. I hate that I'm crying on camera. Oh my god. It's so sad. Oh my god. Like, it's so evil. Like, and Finnick died too. Whew, he died. And they were like in the sewer system of the Capitol, and they had these mutts chasing them. And from what I remember in the movie, it's like a heroic moment for Finnick where like he volunteers to stay behind and tells Katniss to keep going. He's like fighting off the mutts, and then they kill him. But in the book, he's like trying to get up the ladder when the mutts just get at him. It's not like a noble sacrifice. It's just like a meaningless death. Oh my, it's not meaningless, but you get what I'm saying. And that's hard to read because he just got married and I was so happy. It was so happy. But Prim's death is the worst. I'm scared to read the prequels. First of all, because I think they're gonna be bad. Second of all, because I don't know what's coming. And like, Prim's death, I'm crying and I knew it was gonna come. I didn't think it was gonna hit me like this, honestly. I'm scared of what's in the prequels because I don't know what's coming. But I also don't think they can affect me like this because this is the third book that I've been with these characters. It's like a long journey with them, and I don't think that's gonna have the same effect, but holy shit, it's so sad. I'm also just so mad, and I'm sure this is gonna get explained in like the next chapter because I literally ran up here as soon as like that thing ended when Prim died. But it's like, and the worst part is that this was Gale's plan to like lure them in with like a smaller bomb and then like kill them off when the medics rush in. But obviously he didn't, like, plan this specifically, or maybe he did, I don't remember. But anyway, like, if this is your military strategy, why are you letting your own medics run to help those people? Like, surely President Snow wouldn't have been, like, alarmed if the medics hadn't done that. You know, like, it wouldn't have been giving anything away. Why would you let your own medics run into the fire? That's so fucking stupid. And it's just like, oh god, I just hate coins so much. Like, that lady is awful. Which makes the ending of Mockingjay even better, to be honest. But I don't even know what to do with myself. I have to finish the book. I'm so close to the ending now. Can you see it? I don't even know if you can see it. I'm so close. But I'm dead inside. So I'm gonna finish this, and then I'll give you one final check-in for the original trilogy. Okay. I'll be back soon. Fuck. I finished it. I cried again. I'm still crying a little bit now. 5 stars, obviously. The ending with her killing Coin is so fucking good. Like, I don't even remember how I first felt when I read that. I don't know if it got spoiled for me or something. I have no idea how I first reacted to that. But I wish I could have my memory wipes of the Hunger Games so I could reread that for the first time. Because it's fucking crazy. It's such a good ending to, like, all the political stuff. And then, oh my god, and then when she goes back to District 12 and she's just, like, depressed and, like, trying to kill herself. Oh my god. Oh my god. And then Prim's cat shows up and she's, like, screaming at her cat. Oh god. Oh god. But then her cat starts to comfort Katniss. It hurts. It hurts. And then there's a scene where, like, you find out that Gale got a job in District 2, and for some reason that made me cry. And then she, like, decides to hunt one day, and she goes back to the spot where she used to meet up with Gale. And she talks about how it doesn't feel the same. I'm crying again. This is so funny. It's just so fucking sad. I don't know what to do with myself anymore. I guess I start reading about A Songbird and Snakes, right? Like, that's my next move, but it's only 5 p.m. and I just feel like I'm completely exhausted and dead. I kind of just want to lay in my bed and cry for a little bit. But it's good. I haven't cried in a while. This is cathartic. Okay, so my thoughts on the original trilogy. It's fucking perfect. Like, I was so afraid that these books weren't going to live up to my imagination, like what I felt for them when I was younger. But these are perfect books. I went on Goodreads and I was reading some, like, 1-star review of Catching Fire, and it just felt like the person was from a different planet. Like, I was reading their criticisms and I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, you clearly have not read the same book that I have. And clearly I'm the one that's right, is the thing. Now I want to rewatch all the movies, but I don't think they're streaming anywhere, so I might have to figure that out. I'm just so sad. Is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes gonna make me even more sad? Maybe. I don't know. I somehow have not gotten spoiled for that at all, and I'm really scared to read it, but that's what I'm gonna start doing now. Maybe I'll give myself, like, an hour to cry a little bit, honestly. I can't even look at the camera. I'm like, I just want to cry. And I'm sure, like, all my blush is, like, all fucked up now because I've just been wiping my tears away. I just want to reread The Hunger Games again. Maybe I'll start rereading it every year because I need this in my life, clearly. So yeah, I'm going to start reading Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But if you liked this spoiler part, let me know, because maybe I'll start including, like, spoiler sections in my reading vlogs. And I hope I won't be crying in each and every one of them. But we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna get reading now. Okay, I'm 100 pages into A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, so I figured it was the time to give you a synopsis. Essentially, this book is following Snow when he's 18 years old. Hi, Saphira. Saphira is also here, so let her make an appearance. She says hi. I hope you don't hear her purring. I mean, I would love for you to hear her purring, but I hope it's not annoying in the audio. Anyway, this is following Snow as an 18-year-old. I'm calling him Snow because for the life of me, I cannot say his first name. Let me try. Coriolanus? It just seems like it's not a name. Coriolanus. I don't know. I keep wanting to say Cornelius and no, that's not it. So basically, it's following Snow. It's shortly after the first uprising. Both his parents died during the uprising, so he's living with his grandmother and with his cousin Tigress. However, the Snows have had a recent, financial falling, I guess. They used to be really wealthy, but ever since the uprising, apparently all their money was invested in District 13, and with District 13 flattened to the ground, and we now know they seceded. But he doesn't know that at this time. Basically, his family, lost all their money, and they're living in this, really beautiful upscale apartment, but they have no money for food or anything at all. And so he is trying to get into university on, a full scholarship. And it takes place, the first day is the reaping, and since Snow attends this fancy, academy in the capital, he's been chosen to be a mentor for the first time. This is the first time they're ever having mentors in the Hunger Games. Essentially, they're trying to get more people to, actually watch them. And so he wants to be a mentor, and he wants to, do really well at it so that he can win some money so that he can go to university and actually do something with his life, because he's afraid that since his family has no money, that he won't be able to get a good job. So before the reaping occurs, he's assigned to the girl from District 12 who hasn't been chosen yet. He's very disappointed in this because he thinks that someone from District 12 doesn't stand a chance at winning, nonetheless, a girl. But then the reaping occurs, and the person that's chosen from District 12 is a girl named Lucy Gray. And during the reaping, she's wearing this, beautiful rainbow dress. It's a little dingy, but it's still pretty. And she drops a snake down the dress of the mayor's daughter. And then she goes up on stage, and she ends up singing, and she really, wows the crowd. So he's feeling, not so bad about his chances. And then when the tributes come to town, he goes to meet them at the train station and realizes they're just in, a cattle train. And he goes with them to where they're going to be staying, and he realizes that they're staying in the monkey exhibit at the zoo. So he goes there, he brings her some food, they're starting to bond a little bit, but he's honestly just, really stressed out about his future, and that's pretty much all that's happening right now. Well, right now, actually, where I just got to, basically all the other mentors have taken a page of his book, and they're also going to the zoo to spend time with their tributes, and one of them is kind of mocking their tribute with food, they're bringing a sandwich to where they can get it and then taking it away before they can get it. And that tribute takes that knife that the girl made the sandwich with and slits her throat. So that's what just happened. So I will say it's interesting, definitely, but I don't think it's quite as entertaining as the Hunger Games so far, because the Hunger Games, it feels like not a second of those books are wasted. Not that this book has been wasting time necessarily, but more so just the Hunger Games are action-packed right from the beginning. The very first chapter, at the end of that chapter, Prim is chosen, and then Katniss volunteers as tribute. It's non-stop from the very beginning, which this book is a little bit slower so far. And I think that's just because it's just a less exciting plot so far. You're not following a tribute, you're following Snow. Maybe it would be just as fast-paced if it followed Lucy, who knows. I will say the really interesting thing about this is that you see from the very beginning that even though Snow is more of a person in this book, a fully fledged person, he still is very cold and calculating. When his classmate got her throat slit, he just kind of stood there in shock, and then Lucy Gray was you need to go help her. And instead of being oh yes, I need to help her, in his mind he went, oh yeah, the cameras are still rolling, so I need to put on a good show. I will say, I am liking it so far. It's not 5-star status in my mind right now, but maybe a 3 or a 4. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I think it's really interesting to see this beginning of the Hunger Games. It's not the first ever Hunger Games, but is I don't even know what number it is. Maybe it's 10 or something. No idea. But the person who created the idea for the Hunger Games is still alive, and that kind of goes to show that it's still like a recent thing. Anyway, I don't really know what to think about this yet. It's a really big book and I've barely cracked the surface, so it certainly has time to grip me a bit more. I just really want to read Sunrise on the Reaping, to be honest. Like, when this book was announced, I wasn't that into it, which is why I never ended up picking it up and I can do this reading vlog now. I was just like, okay, like, I'm not that interested in Snow's backstory. I'm interested in it more now that I've reread the original trilogy, because now I just want anything in the Hunger Games world to read. And so having this is, like, really nice. But out of all the books, this is definitely the one I'm, like, least interested in. So I don't know. I'm going to keep reading. We'll see how it goes. I have off from work today, so I should be able to get a fair amount of reading in. And I'm still just thinking about the original. Like, I told you I was going to pick this up last night, but I think I was just so emotionally exhausted from Mockingjay that I didn't end up reading any more after I finished that book. Like, I just had to have time to sit with it and, like, be emotional. And man, was I emotional. Okay, I'm going to get back to reading now. So, I've made the decision that I will show spoilers for the 2 last books of this vlog. I just feel like it makes it more fun, and I feel like everyone's reading these books or have read them already, and I just want to talk about them, so I'm going to let myself do it. I'm so sorry. So this is your moment to turn off this video if you haven't read this book yet. I'm not finished with it yet, but I'm going to be sharing some spoilers. So, I forget where I was talking to you last time. I know it was before the Hunger Games took place. So I'm like well into this book now. I'm definitely going to finish it today. In fact, I have to finish it today because I just filmed my March wrap-up and I said I had finished this book and that, and I have not yet. So, what has happened since? Essentially, Lucy Gray won the Hunger Games. She won them because they cheated, basically. Like, Snow, first of all, gave her food that he wasn't supposed to give her to help her survive before the games. He gave her his mother's compact so that she could put rat poison in it and poison her tributes, her fellow tributes. And at one point in the games, they were going to be dropping these like genetically modified snakes into the arena to attack all the tributes. But these snakes don't attack if they're familiar with their scent. And he snuck in a handkerchief that Lucy Gray had been using of his into the tank right before the snakes were put into the arena. So essentially, there's like this huge moment where it's like, oh my god, I won! And like, he thinks he's gonna get this scholarship to university. And then they pull him into a room and they're like, we know you cheated. So it's either public shame or you just go and join the Peacekeepers. So he joins the Peacekeepers and he chooses to be assigned to District 12. And at the point where I'm at, he's arrived in District 12, and another character that I've not spoken about at all, I don't think, in this vlog so far, has joined him there. So there's another character, I don't know how to say his name either. I don't know how to say any of the first names in this book other than Lucy Gray. I think it's either Sejanus or Sejanus. So I'm going to say Sejanus, I think. But if it's wrong, just know I tried. Anyway, so Sejanus is this boy who has a very, 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 very wealthy father. And they were actually living in District 2, but his father made enough money that he had them transferred to the capital. And ever since, it's just been like hell for this family. Like, people in the capital do not look fondly on people from the districts. And even if you move to the capital, they still think you're district scum. And Sejanus also has an issue because he has a very strong moral compass, so he's totally against the Hunger Games. And he's also a mentor, but he's assigned a boy from District 2 who he personally knew. And actually at one point, this boy ends up escaping, and when the Hunger Games begin, they like hang his body there and he's clearly been tortured. And Sejanus sneaks into the games at night and like cuts down his body and does like the death rites of District 2 for him, and is like sitting there because he wants his death to be shown on live screen, and then Snow has to like go to the arena and like pull him out, and it's a whole thing. But because he went to the arena, he's also like disgraced himself, and so his father has basically gotten him this deal that he could join the Peacekeepers instead of being thrown in jail. So he also arrives in District 12, and they go and they meet Lucy Gray, and I think like my problem I'm having with this book is, first of all, it's so much slower than the Hunger Games. Like, not much is happening. Even during the actual Hunger Games, you're not following it from the perspective of the tributes. It's much less interesting. You're following from like an outsider's perspective who's just like watching the TV. But also, I just don't buy the romance between Snow and Lucy Gray, because that's another thing. Like, before Lucy Gray goes into the arena, she kisses Snow, and then Snow's in his head is like, oh, that's my girl, like, we're dating, we're in love, stuff like that. And then when he goes to District 12 and finally gets, like, an alone moment with her, he, like, calls her his girl, and, like, they're kissing and stuff. And I'm like, where did this even come from? Like, where did this romance stem from? Because it seems like there was no build up to it at all. It just, like, came out of nowhere. I don't believe in it. And I have no idea how this book ends. I feel like because it's Snow's backstory, it doesn't end well. So I can't imagine what happens to Lucy Gray. I hope nothing happens to her. I hope she just breaks his heart horribly or something. I just don't know. And I need to finish this today or tomorrow, essentially. I really want to finish it today. But it just isn't captivating me the same way the original Hunger Games trilogy did. That said, I am really, really psyched for Sunrise on the Reaping. I'm holding it upside down, Sunrise on the Reaping, just because I feel like this is a story I want. When this book came out, I wasn't interested in it, because I'm not interested in Snow that much as a character. Haymitch as a character, very interested. I keep seeing spoilers for this online. I need to read this as soon as I can, so I need to finish this. So, I'm going to get to reading, and I'll update you once I have finished it with my final thoughts. I have finally finished The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It only took me, like, a week. Honestly, the fact that this book is taking me a week to read kind of says something about it, because I'm a very fast reader. Yes, I have been working, but I was able to finish the Hunger Games books in, like, a day or two tops each. So as I said before, this book was a little slower, a little duller than the original trilogy. I'm not gonna, like, rehash everything I've already said. The ending, though, very much picked up. The fact that, again, this is spoilers, so don't be mad at me for sharing things, but the fact that Snow so easily betrayed Sejanus was just crazy, and the fact that he was hung for it, and that Snow had to attend his hanging, crazy. And then I will say I really liked, I guess the part with the birds was kind of essential for the book, because it leads to him using the Jabberjay to record Sejanus's confession. But it did feel like a lot of the book was, like, dealing with that, and it was kind of boring. But at the same time, I absolutely loved how Snow just, like, initially absolutely hated all the Mockingjays. I thought that was, like, such a fun little tidbit to put in there. I also really loved the use of, like, the plant Katniss in this book, particularly at the very end. So what happened after the hanging is that, well, before the hanging, now I'm getting all messed up. Before the hanging, essentially, Snow and Sejanus and others were at the Hob, and Sejanus was working with the rebels to help them escape, and he was going to help a girl escape out of the Peacekeeper base. And so they're at the Hob watching Lucy Gray perform, and Sejanus kind of sneaked out, so Snow followed him. What ended up happening were that 2 people were killed. One was the mayor's daughter, and Snow actually killed the mayor's daughter. Then later on, one of the guys there escaped with the weapons, and so Snow was like, okay, I don't have to deal with this, because the weapon has my fingerprints and DNA on it. It's going to be carried away. But then the guy who escapes with the weapons ends up being apprehended by the Peacekeepers. Something happens, and the Jabberjay that Snow recorded, I can't say his fucking name, Sejanus' like confession on, gets sent back to Dr. Gohl. So they find out that he was allied with these rebels, and that's how he gets hung. Hanged? I think it's hanged. I don't know, actually. Anyway, so then, like, after he gets hanged, Snow is convinced that he's gonna be next because his fingerprints are on the guns and that guy was captured. And so he decides to run away with Lucy Gray because Lucy Gray has been being bothered by the mayor. The mayor is convinced that she killed his daughter. And so she tells Snow that she's gonna run up north, and Snow decides to go with her because he feels like he has nothing to lose. And he leaves the Peacekeeper base, and he's, like, with her, but he kind of lets it drop that he killed Sejanus. Like, she doesn't totally know, he didn't say those words, but he says he killed 3 people, and she's like, who's the third? And he won't tell her. So she's definitely suspicious. And so she takes him to the lake, and they're in the house by the lake, which is also a nice tie-in, because that's the house that, like, Katniss would go to. But the best part about this is that she like leaves him inside the house, and she says she's going to get Katniss, like the plant, and that's when she like escapes from him. And he finds that the guns are hidden in that house. So he takes the gun that had his DNA on it, and he's like out chasing after her, basically trying to shoot her with this gun. And he doesn't know if he actually shoots her or not, but he destroys the gun and the evidence against him in the lake, and then he goes back to the Peacekeeper base. And then he was told that he would be able to get like officer training, so he's going back to District 2, but he actually ends up going back to the Capitol, and Dr. Gull is there, and she's like, yeah, that was all just training for you. I figured it would be better than you spending your summer in the Capitol. So there's a couple of things to digest there. First of all, I love that we don't know what happens to Lucy Gray. It's just like the story that she got her namesake from, or at least the song. The song of Lucy Gray follows this girl that like disappears. It's like a snowstorm, and her footsteps just suddenly stop when they're trying to trace her. So I really like that ties into her story as well, where they don't know what happened to her in the end. Like, he thinks she just disappeared. I also really like that she was specifically going to get Katniss and use that as the ruse to get away from him. And I think that, though, I'm gonna realize I'm not holding the book. I think that, though, my main thing with this book is that it still just doesn't feel, like, necessary to add to the universe. I'm not a big person who, like, really wants a villain backstory. And I think this is a good backstory for him because it shows that, like, he's not necessarily, like, born a demon, you know? I mean, he makes choices along the way that make him into one. Like, he's clearly capable of love and friendship, but he's always putting his own self-interest above everyone else. And that really leads him down this dark path. So I kind of like that I made him complex, but I feel like he was already a complex character, you know? I don't feel like this is like a must read for the Hunger Games universe. I guess I am about to just start Sunrise on the Reaping, and I'll see if this book is necessary before you read this book. So maybe that will change things. But I think at the end of the day, I'm giving this 3 stars. And 3 stars for me is not a bad rating. 3 stars means I liked the book. Honestly, for much of this book, I thought I was going to rate it like 2 stars or 2.5. So having 3 at the end really boosted it up, in my opinion. I'm going to be holding on to this book. I'm not going to be getting rid of it because it's part of the Hunger Games series now. And yeah, those are my thoughts for The Battle of Songbirds and Snakes. I need to stop talking because I'm sick and my throat is killing me. But I'm going to get started on Sunrise on the Reaping. And I'm so scared. I'm so scared for this one. I don't know why, but I just feel so anxious about even picking it up. But I think I'm going to love it because I really love Haymitch. And because this is, like, for all the faults that the Battle of Songbirds and Snakes had, like, I think my main issue with it was just that it was, like, boring, other than the fact that it didn't feel necessary. So I don't think this one's going to be boring because this is, again, following a tribute in the games, at least from what I know. And yeah, so I'm going to get reading, and I'll update you when I have something to say. I'm 60 pages into Sunrise on the Reaping, so it's time to give you a little bit of synopsis. I'm not, like, that far into it, but essentially this book takes place on Reaping Day. That's when it opens up. Reaping Day is July 4th. It also happens to be Haymitch's birthday. So he wakes up, he interacts with, like, his younger brother and his mother, and then he goes to see his girl, Lenore Dove. I'm going to keep saying Lenore instead because that was my grandmother's name. Lenore Dove. She's Covey. It's actually really interesting because, so this takes place during the Quarter Quell, the second Quarter Quell. So the idea behind that one is that they're going to choose twice as many tributes from every district. So that means 4 from every district instead of just 2. And Haymitch's name was actually never pulled. So what happened is they pulled the second boy's name and he tried to make a run for it. And the Peacekeepers shot him. And then the pandemonium that happened after that, Haymitch's girl Lenore was like trying, I'm a little rough on the details now that I'm saying it. She was like trying to, like, the Peacekeepers were trying to drag off this boy's body, and his mother was like clutching to him and just wanting to have like one final moment with him. And so Haymitch's girl Lenore was like also like trying to help the mother, and the Peacekeeper was coming at Lenore and was like gonna hit her or something, so Haymitch got in the way, and he ended up getting chosen because he was like creating a fuss. And so right now where I'm at, they're on the train on the way to the Capitol. It's interesting seeing the difference between this Hunger Games and the one before and Katniss's Hunger Games, because during Katniss's Hunger Games, the train is like a train of luxury. They have like their own rooms and they're given all this elaborate, expensive food and they're treated like royalty basically, except for the fact that they're on the way to the Hunger Games. And for Lucy Gray, she was just placed in like a fucking cattle car with no food. And Haymitch's treatment is in between, so they're in a train and they're fed food, but it's not like an elaborate meal like before. They're not even given like dishes or silverware. And they're all in one room together. So I just think it's really interesting. The part that I'm liking the most about this is that you get to see Katniss's parents. So you get to see her father and her mother. This is before they were involved together, but you can see like it's hinting that they're going to end up together. It's just nice to see like what District 12 was like before Katniss, because it's always been something that's interested me. It's also really interesting because I can't say his name, but Plutarch, maybe, I don't know. He is like the guy in charge of the cameras for Haymitch's reaping. And I obviously know from reading Mockingjay that he is part of the rebellion secretly from the Capitol. So it's interesting to see him in this role, and it's like, is he part of the rebellion already? Is he gonna, like, help Haymitch out a little bit? Is he going to become part of the rebellion later? Is he just Capitol scum right now? I don't know. But I'm having a good time with this. My reading hasn't been very extensive because I'm feeling sick, and I just want to lay down and close my eyes all day long. I can't do that because I'm working every single day this week, because I'm a working girl. I don't hate that at all, but I sense I'm going to like this one much more than the one about snow, and I'm hoping that's true. So I'm going to keep reading, and I'll update you once I have something else to say. See ya. I'm on page 158 of Sunrise on the Reaping, so I'm about 100 pages deeper into it than I was last time I updated you, and a lot has happened. So essentially, one of the tributes from District 12 was a girl named Luella, and she was like 13 years old, and her and Haymitch had been friends prior to this. And so going into it, they had agreed to be allies, and he was going to protect her. But then during one of the opening scenes of, I don't even know what to really call it, but it's like the first time that people really get to see the tributes, they like ride out on those chariots. And during that, the horses weren't like, they got startled, and then it was like this rampage, and the horses were like running, and basically Luella ended up dying, and Haymitch took her body and like boarded another thing, and like took her body all the way up to Snow, like in defiance, so that he had to see her. And then he got back to where like they're stationed for the time being, and he found out that his mentors are going to be Mags and Wiress, which is really interesting to see him interacting with these tributes that we know from Catching Fire, who both died in Catching Fire. So it's really nice to see more of them. And I have to say, like, I'm really enjoying this so far. Oh yeah, and another thing, then Snow ended up replacing Luella with another girl who's been like tortured to act like Luella, and they're calling her Lulu, which is creepy as hell that he just brought in like a body double so that people from the districts in the Capitol just think that Luella like just got a little head bump or something. It's crazy. It's so freaky. But I'm really enjoying this. It's really cool to see how a different group of people are approaching the games. Like, for instance, there's a boy here from District 3. He's actually, I forget his name, like BT, is that his name? Can I find it real quick? BT, yeah. It's actually BT's son from District 3. BT did something that the Capitol didn't agree with, basically, and now they've reaped his son. And he's there as his son's mentor, knowing that his son is going to die. And he was in the training, showing people how to make, like, a light out of a potato. And Haymitch approached him, was talking to him, and Haymitch basically told him that he wants to break the arena. And so the one night when they're all trying to get to sleep, BT stops the electricity in the building that they're in and, like, secretly goes and talks to Haymitch about how to break the arena. So that's a subplot that's going on. It's just really cool, like, seeing these different tributes interact with each other. And like I said, it's cool to see how a different group of kids from the districts are approaching the games. Like, BT's son is forming an alliance among the non-careers tributes. And that seems to be going really well. Like, they have almost everyone that is in a career district with them. And it's going to be so sad going into the games because there's just, like, I don't know, like, when you're reading the original Hunger Games trilogy, obviously you care about Katniss and Peeta, but other than that, the only other tribute that you really care about is Rue. And in this one, it's like, oh no, I'm already caring about other tributes. Like, it's not just Haymitch, it's also Maycely, it's also Lulu now I care about, because she's just this poor little girl. And there's also BT's son, whose name I can't remember. And, like, you're getting introduced to more of the tributes, so I think it's going to hit even harder when they die. And, of course, President Snow has threatened Lord Dove and, like, Haymitch's family, and it's just very stressful. But I'm enjoying this so much. Like, I want to read the whole thing today, and I might. I'm still homesick from work, and that has been the only redeeming factor of being sick, is I've been able to read this book. Anyway, I'm going to get back to reading, and I'll update you soon. I have finally finished Sunrise on the Reaping, and I don't even know what my thoughts are. Like, I literally just finished it, and I raced upstairs to film this. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars because I did really enjoy it. The thing about this book, though, is that, I don't know, when it came to Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I really felt like the book wasn't necessary in the series, and, like, kind of have the same feeling about this one. Like, did Haymitch's story need to be told? Probably not, because we already got, like, somewhat of an idea of it from Catching Fire. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it. I really liked seeing, like, Katniss's parents and seeing the other tributes, like, the other victors at least, like Mags and Wiress and BT. Like, I liked seeing their dynamic and seeing, like, how this stuff was all put into place well before Katniss. And how there were other failed rebellions. I think that's interesting. I think, like, what this has to say about propaganda is also very interesting, because so much of what he is doing is cut out of the public picture. Like, for instance, even in the beginning during the Reaping, he was illegally called. Like, he wasn't pulled from the jar, he was just chosen to be reaped. And they don't show the peacekeepers shooting and killing the guy who was actually called. Even just that, like, the art of putting together, like, video footage just completely erased that. And that continues on to when he's in the games. Like, he doesn't know how much is actually shown, so I guess we don't know how much is actually shown. But in the recap, after he wins, we don't see, like, all the stuff he did to try to undermine the Capitol, obviously. They leave that out. But we also don't even see him, like, mourning Lulu, or being part of the alliance of the what are they called? The New Worthies or something like that? No, that's not what they're called. Newcomers. Like, he was defending some of the newcomers when stuff happened to them, but they don't show him being a part of that alliance. So it's really just interesting. I don't know that it's saying anything that I particularly didn't already know, like, when it comes to propaganda. I think maybe as someone who studied it in school, I'm a little bit more well-versed in that. Maybe this would be eye-opening to some people. To me, it wasn't really eye-opening. To me, it was just like, yeah, that's what propaganda does. But maybe I'm missing something. That could be possible as well. I really liked the epilogue. I liked a lot of this. I can't lie. Like, I do find it weird people are saying that this is fan service, though. Because fan service usually isn't this depressing, right? Like, fan service is everyone ends up together and it's la la la, happy to the end of the day. But this is like, oh, remember Haymitch? He actually has the most depressing story of all time. Everyone that he loved was killed, so he pushed away everyone else so that they wouldn't be killed. And it really just shows you how he turned into the Haymitch that we see in the beginning of the Hunger Games. It's also really interesting Haymitch's connection with Katniss's father, just to imagine the impact that must have had for him. Like, I think the first time we see Haymitch in the Hunger Games is when Katniss is on stage and she's about to cry and she needs a moment for himself, so he does something drunkenly and, like, falls off the stage. And it's easy reading this now to see that as being, like, a calculated move on his part, even though, I mean, he's a drunk guy, so it may not be. Maybe I'm reading this too much. But it's easy to see that as a calculated move on his part because he wants to help Katniss as the daughter of his best friend. I don't know what else to say, and honestly, I'm sick and it hurts so much just to talk. So I hope it's okay if I cut this a little short. I did really enjoy this. Honestly, like, even if it is fan service, I will read any single thing Suzanne Collins writes in the Hunger Games universe. It just, like, I love it so much. And I will take any excuse to reread that original trilogy. I can't help it. So, there you go. I think I'm giving this a 4 after all. The original trilogy still stands out, all fives, and the one with snow is at a 3, but it's not a bad 3. I really enjoyed doing this. I want to reread The Hunger Games every year now. Like, I think doing this just cemented The Hunger Games as, like, some of my favorite books of all time, which is crazy because I wouldn't have thought of them as being that before making this video. So I had a lot of fun, and I hope if any of you made it to the end, you had some fun too. Let me know if you made it to the end, because I kind of don't believe anyone's going to watch this whole thing. So, that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon in another video. Goodbye!